Cool. So here to talk to you today about consolidations with Fathom. Before we get into that, we're just going to introduce Fathom a little bit and introduce ourselves. So I'm Ciaren. I'm a business development specialist at Fathom. I've been here since May now, May of 2022. Before that, I actually used to be an accountant, where I actually used to do consolidations as well. So I sort of know firsthand how difficult consolidations can be without Fathom. Yeah, it's not ideal. So hopefully we can help you all with that today. Just going to pass over to Hannah to introduce herself as well, and then we'll get into it.
Hello, I'm Hannah. So I'm a business development specialist here at Fathom. I've been here for just over a year, so only a tiny little bit longer than Ciaren. I don't have an accountancy background, but I do have like a sales and support background. So yeah, I'm here to obviously bring new customers into Fathom and then help them along their journey and also help them once they're already one of our customers. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. We are joined today by a special guest, Matt Basten. He's actually here from Street Group. So I am going to ask him to introduce himself, but I will just find out where he is on the screen. So bear with me a moment. Matt, can you hear us? Let's have a quick look. Matt, can you hear us?
Yep, yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry about that, Matt. Can you share your camera with us? Is it allowing you to do that?
No, it's not giving me that option at the moment.
Okie doke. Okay, I will try and do that, but if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and a little bit about the Street Group, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I'm Matt Basten. I head up everything finance related at Street Group. Prior to being at Street Group, there we go. Yeah, so prior to being at Street Group, I was in practice for nearly a decade, accounts, audit, tax, doing a lot of consolidations, generally quite manually. Moved to Street Group a year and a half ago, and it's been basically setting up their finance department and growing the team as the business is growing. Street Group are a prop tech company, a SaaS business, supplying software to estate agents in the UK and changing the whole process of how estate agents market, run their businesses, and the process of buying and selling properties, really. So it's a fast growth business. And in terms of the finance department, over the last year and a half, it's massively changed the processes and how we do things.
Cool.
Fantastic. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for that, Matt. So yeah, just a quick run through the agenda for today. So we've sort of covered off the introductions. I will just introduce Fathom in general in a minute as well. But then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about issues typically that people have with consolidations. I'll go through those in more detail. Talk about how to make the complex, making the complex, that doesn't quite make sense. I should forget that. Making the complex simple. So yeah, we'll run through basically how Fathom works, but also we're going to speak to Matt a little bit about his life before Fathom, after Fathom, and what Fathom has done to help him. We're actually then just going to run through how it works within Fathom as well, and then we've just got a little bit of time at the end for consolidations as well. So we just introduce Fathom a little bit as well. So it's actually an Australian company born out of Brisbane. We do have offices globally in Seattle, Cambridge, London, and then a support site in the Philippines as well as Brisbane, obviously. We are a top rated app in Xero, QuickBooks, and MyOB, and we've been in the market for 10 years now. We've been in the EMEA region since around 2018. So EMEA slightly newer, but around about in general for around about 10 years. You can see there's a lot of people worldwide that trust us with their accounts, whether that be SMEs or like clients of accountancy practices. We work with both, and we do partner with actual practices as well. So we don't just work with them, we do actually partner with them, and it's multi-product. So we have, as well as the consolidation that we're showing you today, we do also do forecasting and just sort of FP&A analysis as well. So if you're more interested in those, feel free to reach out to us as well, but we'll focus on the consolidations for today. So issues that we've actually had with consolidations in the past, is kind of the general stuff like the time it takes to do a consolidation. I know from when I used to work in industry, it would take probably about 4 to 5 working days to do the consolidation piece, because it's multi-currency, because it's complex. And generally, like when using, whether it be Excel or another manual tool to do that, there's always that doubt in your mind that there is going to be a human error involved there, and there might have to be sort of rigorous checks in place. It could be 3 or 4 different people that are going to have to check that, and that just adds to the time it takes to do that sort of process. Whereas when you're using a tool like Fathom, it's all done seamlessly and it's all done sort of automatically, and you just know there's no human error element to that. It just adds to the sort of security of your consolidation pack and allows you to report in a more efficient manner as a result. Other issues, so I mentioned time, the sort of time consumption, the sort of human error aspect, but also just the sort of effort that goes into it. And as a result, people spend less time actually analyzing their results and sort of acting upon what they're finding out, and more time just building. Whereas when you use a tool like Fathom, it allows you to spend more time sort of acting and actually, using the data that you produce rather than just simply producing it. I don't know if you want to add to that, Hannah.
Yeah, I would say the same sort of things. Obviously, customers that I've spoken to, and potential customers as well, when they're looking into Fathom consolidations, their main reasons being the amount of time it's taking them to do it. So it could be that they're currently doing it on Excel spreadsheets. So again, we're touching on that human error kind of thing, the time it's taking to do so. And then, like you mentioned, Ciaren, once they've got those numbers together, it's taken them so long to get them there in the first place that they then spend a lot less time looking at the numbers, what they actually mean for the business, and then what implications it has moving forward. So yeah, with the consolidations in Fathom, it just helps reduce all of those things. It's taking less time, less human error, and it opens up their time to dive into the numbers that it's produced and then further into them. So whether it be taking it into meetings or discussing it internally, it then gives them the option to do that as well.
Cool. No worries. Cool. So without further ado, we are going to hand over to Matt at this point. We have got a few questions for Matt. So I believe, Hannah, are you going to run the questions with Matt? If I just, yeah. So hand over to Hannah and Matt to sort of do this part.
Thanks, Ciaren, and thanks again for joining us, Matt. So as you can see, I've put the questions in front of my face so that I cannot forget them. So if it's okay with you, if we just run through these, and then Matt, if you wouldn't mind, obviously, opening up the floor to you, and yeah, we'll let you take it away. So let's start with, what was your process before using Fathom?
So when I joined the business, we use Xero for our accounts, and a whole part of our accounts function is quite automated around income and receivables. But the consolidation piece, there wasn't really anything there. And as I'm sure, if you've seen sort of with clients in practice and stuff like that, a lot of the work was just done on Google Sheets and Excel. So it was really manual, took time, and as all the points you mentioned before, was prone to sort of human error, or you've got that doubt and you're having to triple check stuff.
Fantastic. So we've obviously jumped straight into that next question. So what issues did you encounter? So with the human error and things like that as well. So off the back of that, since finding Fathom, how has life become easier? How has that obviously helped with those issues that you were having?
I think for myself, when you're spending time doing quite a manual task, which you know can be automated, it's really frustrating. So we spent quite a bit of time looking at different bits of software and trialing different ones. And Fathom was the one which we ended up going for, and actually sort of in our local network of FDs nearby, a lot of people use Fathom as well. And it's been amazing from the point of view of just automating the consolidation, pulls everything in really nicely from Xero from our group companies. We also track, as a whole group, we split everything cost-wise and income-wise into 2 categories that don't necessarily tie in with the different subsidiaries. But with Fathom and tracking in Xero, we've been able to produce sort of reports, profit and loss based on just those tracking categories as well. So it's done some quite intricate stuff for us, which previously was just really manual to produce. So from that point of view, it's been great. But then also the reporting side of it. So how customizable the reports are when we're producing management packs and board packs, and how we're able to pull in information from Google Sheets and just have that flexibility, which no other reporting tool gave us when we were trialing out a lot of other ones on the market. So yeah, it's sped up the time we've spent, it's made it more accurate, and it's just meant we can go into a lot more detail on the actual numbers and looking at the sort of, so what does this mean, rather than just spending time and wasting time in Google Sheets, basically.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you so much. So just a very straightforward question. How long did it actually take you to create your consolidations in Fathom? Can you remember?
So actually setting it up, I can't remember that, but it wasn't anywhere near as long as I was dreading. Whenever you're implementing a new bit of tech into your tech stack, there's always that sort of onboarding, setting it up. Is it going to be painful? Sort of the connecting with Xero, setting up the consolidation was really quite straightforward. And sort of my background in accounts and audit, what was really nice was I was able to get reports which showed me exactly how the consolidation adjustments were being made. So for peace of mind, you can follow it through all the way, look at the details behind it, as well as just looking at the consolidated figures. So that was really good from my side. And setting it up, it was very straightforward. It was linking it with Xero. The bit which took a little bit more time was the customizing of the sort of management packs we wanted to produce. But again, that was very straightforward, and that's just, yeah, you can spend as long as you want on that, or you can get a really quick pack sort of produced within a matter of minutes almost. So yeah, it was not a big amount of effort, to be honest.
Perfect. No, that's really great to hear. And obviously off the back of that, so bringing your financial data from Xero, that's great. You're also being able to report on those. You've got that consolidated chart of accounts as well, etc. But with regard to KPIs, because I remember when we first spoke, so on our first call together, when you were actually looking into Fathom, we were also hoping to track KPIs. So with regard to that, how have you found obviously tracking KPIs with your multiple entities within Fathom?
Yeah, it's been really positive. I think the sort of integration with Google Sheets, we would always track a lot of our KPIs through Google Sheets because we're pulling metrics from different places, and it's something we're working on to change the way we do that. But to be able to then tie that directly to the financials and the data in Xero is really positive, like really useful, because it's just automated. So we're not duplicating work and doing it on one reporting system and then on another. So that has been really good for the sort of packs we're producing internally and what we may need to share externally. So yeah, it's been good for giving us better visibility, and it's also given us a lot of the information in a much more visual and easier to understand format, especially when it comes to sharing it outside of the finance team, and trying to make stuff as understandable as possible. Yeah, it's been really good for that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's really great to hear. And as you just touched on as well, so obviously people like yourself, you're familiar with these sorts of numbers and the terminology, but when it comes to obviously presenting numbers to other members of the team that may not be financially minded, you've then got that visual aspect as well. So even if it's something as simple as, like, I don't know, a green thumbs up and a red thumbs down, it just enables them to understand those numbers a little bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been really useful from that point of view. And again, how customizable it is in terms of producing these packs. I've not come across many other bits of accounting or reporting software that gives you that level of customization, which is what I wanted for our sort of business.
Perfect. Fantastic. So last question then, how has the software and Fathom customer service team helped your business?
In terms of the software, it's saved us a lot of time, and it's also helped us with preparing ourselves for the growth which we're going through. So when I joined back in August 21, we're at about 60 staff, and we're at about 110 now, and we're continuing that rapid growth. So it's getting the systems and software in place to future-proof our business, which is great. And Fathom ties so well into Xero that there's so much more we can use it for. I know we're only sort of using a small part of the software really, but it's nice to know that we've got the system in place where we can keep building out more reports and more packs. And then, yeah, this will sound like I'm sucking up, but the service has been amazing. It's quite rare when you're dealing with a SaaS product and you're able to speak to an account manager within sort of an hour or so. You'll get answers emailed back with recorded videos showing you exactly how to do it, and with solutions around some quite complicated things we wanted to do with the reporting and splitting our group costs. It wasn't straightforward, but yeah, Hannah, you've been great, and the team at Fathom has been great with helping us get on board, and then it's been ongoing support. It's not just been getting us on board, so we're paying and leaving it. It's been ongoing. So that has been, really positive. And it's something, when we're looking at our own customer service and we like really try to give a similar level, but it's been quite nice in another business doing that. Singing your praises.
I say I'm blushing, stop it. No, that's really.
And just to clarify, I'm not being paid for that.
I'm just quietly giving you a little something like, no, I'm joking. No, that's really great to hear, and thank you for that positive feedback. It's really lovely. But yeah, Ciaren, any other questions that I haven't covered off here? Anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so. I think no, that's thoroughly covered it off. So no, I appreciate you coming on, Matt, and sort of giving some insight there. It's really appreciated. So yeah, no, unless you've got anything to add, I'll just move on to the product demo. Unless you've got anything you want to add, Matt.
Yeah, no, nothing really. I mean, I don't think I really mentioned it. So our sort of size of business, I dropped in the employees. We're a group of 4 companies, so we consolidate the group of 4 companies there, but there's so much potential that we can keep adding to that and scaling. So it is a product which works well for us at the size we are, but I'm very confident that in 2-3 years growth, and as we add more group companies, everything like that, it will still support us. So yeah, just add that small point there.
That's good to know. No, thank you very much, Matt. It's very much appreciated. Cool. Okay. Without further ado, then I'm just going to jump into my bring this across now, which has got actually got Fathom in it. So this is what Fathom looks like when you open up Fathom, and we're just going to run through basically how to set up a consolidation and how easy it is to set up a consolidation. So you can see I've got quite a lot of different companies in my Fathom account. Mine are Excel sourced, but if they were Xero sourced or QuickBooks sourced, you just have that logo there, and the functionality within the product will still be the exact same. The functionality doesn't change regardless of the source data. So when it comes to actually adding companies, you just go up here to add a company, and then it's just going to take you to basically your source. And then when you want to create a consolidated group, just go over to consolidated group, select your companies from the left hand side that you want to add into the group. They'll appear over here. You can name the group. You can do things like set the date range to the consolidated group, and if they were multi-currency, which if I do that, they should be, you'll see that it will then get you to select the presentation currency as well. So even if you've got multiple currencies in your group, you can just select a presentation currency that you want to present at consolidated level in. If you're in a position where you have to present in 2 different currencies, you can simply create 2 different consolidated groups with 1 in each currency that you want to present in, and just copy the reports across from one to the other. So it's a seamless process, really, just to get the reports in both currencies if you need it. Just going to take you into the settings now for the consolidated group. So this is my consolidated group up here, where I've got, you can see the entities that make it up. So I've just got sort of the UK, US, and Europe entities making that up. And like I said, from here, you can update the group. If you make changes to the entities, you can update the group from there. But then if we just go across to the group profile, this is where you're going to be able to set exchange rates as well. So if I just go into here, you will see that we actually source our exchange rates from Open Exchange. However, if you do want to set your own rates, you can do. So basically, regardless of how you like to report, if you've got set rates that you report on every month, you can just enter those there. Or, if you'd prefer to use just our sort of ongoing up-to-date rates, because they do update every day, you're more than welcome to do that. Have you got anything you'd want to add at that point, Hannah?
No, I think you covered it. I was something to say about multi-currency. So yeah, you've covered that off.
Cool. No worries at all. Just moving across to the chart of accounts. This is where you can actually categorize and basically tidy up your P&L and balance sheet, because so when you consolidate companies in Fathom, the accounts will consolidate by account name and not by GL code. So if the accounts are called the exact same thing, they will consolidate into one line in Fathom. However, if they're called something slightly different, like you can see, obviously in one of my companies, I've got a coffee sales line, and then in another one, I've got a sales-coffee. So because they're called something slightly different, they won't automatically consolidate. So to tidy up your consolidated P&L, you can just go in and create headings. So yeah, you can see I've created like a coffee heading, and it is really simple to do. If I just sort of tick a few boxes, you can see I can just tick a few boxes, then I can go create a heading at the top, and then they'd fall into that heading that I create. So really simple to do. And then from there, you can do the same thing with the balance sheet. You can also eliminate from here as well if you need to. So there's actually a couple of ways to eliminate in Fathom, but one way is to use the eliminate button, which will allow you to quickly eliminate whole accounts. And then you can view in your reports either whether you want to show the P&L and balance sheet before or after the eliminations. It's entirely up to you. Before I actually move into the reports, Anna, have you got anything you want to add on any of that?
No, just in case, obviously, if any viewers have got any questions on that, drop it into the Q&A, and then at the end of today's webinar, we are going to cover off all of those questions. So yeah, as you're going along, pop those questions in for us.
Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into reports. And probably the first thing to note actually is something that Matt actually touched on, was that you can use one of our templates if you want to. So we have a list of predefined templates which are available. So Matt sort of alluded to being able to produce a report in minutes, which you can do with the predefined templates. You can see a lot of these are quite in-depth. Like a lot of our customers really like this monthly performance report. It's a full in-depth report that's 14 pages long to begin with. But what I caveat that with is that even though they're predefined, you can edit them to your heart's content. You can take out anything that you feel you don't necessarily need and equally add in anything that isn't already there that you do want. But if you prefer, you can also just start a custom template from scratch as well, which is what I'm going to do in this case, just to sort of show you how easy it is to actually just create it from scratch as well. So I'm just going to go up here to create template, just call it like management report or whatever you want to call it. Going to be reporting monthly, and we'll just keep the orientations portrait for now. So what you'll see when you get into here, there's actually the Fathom logo up here initially. You can put your company logo there as well if you want to. So you can upload your logo within settings and just put your logo in there and have like a background image of your choosing as well, just to make the report look more polished and white labeled. So it works internally as well, but if you are reporting to external stakeholders, it's just a really good way of sort of improving the image of the business. And then if you come over here, you'll see what that looks like as a PDF as well, because Fathom does give you the option of exporting your reports to PDF. So I'll just show you what it would look like as a PDF as well. So moving through, you can then start building your report out. You can put whatever you want in these reports, but just to give you a rough idea, you could start off with like an executive summary, perhaps. Helps when I can type. And then, sorry?
Pressure's on when you're typing.
Yeah, I know. So you can start adding in different things to the exec sum. So Hannah actually mentioned like the red and green thumbs, which you can put in if you want to. You could put in a couple of those observations, and then you can go and change what they're actually looking at. So I can go and edit that and just say this one's going to be, say, operating profit. So if operating profit for this month is greater than operating profit for last month, let's say, it would be a thumbs up. In this case, unfortunately for my business, it's down, so it's the red thumbs down. But you get the idea of how they'd work. And you can build like a dashboard in here just to say, sort of get a quick view of how the business is doing quickly. You can add what I really like to add at these things as well, which really give you that sort of good dashboard view from the executive summary. So the sort of stakeholders can go in and see quickly how the business is doing in that month or the quarter or a year, or whatever it may be. If I then was to create another section, I could then make another section and call this perhaps like the P&L section. So you could have the P&L, and then you can add in the P&L in various different ways. So you can have it just as sort of one consolidated figure if you want to, and then you could go in and compare that to budget, for example, or compare it to prior year. In fact, let's give it a go. So if I add that one in, you could go in there, edit that, and you can see at the moment it's all companies, but you can filter by certain companies if you want. You can then make it, let's say, just a P&L in this instance, and then I'm going to go and add further columns in. So I could say, I want my budget in for this month. I'm then going to have a variance budget, which you can have as a percentage or as an actual figure, or both. If I go in there and just have like a year-to-date column as well. And then what I'm also going to do is just go to rows. And from here, you can select the level of detail that you have in the P&L. So at the moment, it's obviously a full level P&L with every sort of line in my chart of accounts in here. So you can see, again, going back to the coffee sales and sales-coffee. If I go and click on this one, you'll see it then goes to just those headings that I've created. So I mentioned earlier, it's a good way of tidying up your P&L. It just allows you to have those consolidated lines that you've built so that you can really just see the stuff that you want to see or the stakeholders want to see, and not every single line from your P&L and balance sheet. You can make it further summarized if you really want to, and just make it a real summary P&L. It's entirely up to you. But a lot of people tend to like that sort of first level of detail where they've got the headings. If that P&L isn't quite right, I'll just delete that one. You can add a P&L by company if you want to. So I could have my P&L in there by company. Or alternatively, again, if that's not quite right either, I can go into tables and financials, go to financial trends, and have maybe a P&L for this financial year by month, or for the last 6 months, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter which one you pick, because you can go in and edit the sort of date range that it's looking at once you're in there anyway. If I had this financial year, you can then add that in. If I edit that, you can make it just a P&L. I can then go to detailed, make that first level of detail again. And then if I go across to columns, you can add forecasted data in as well. So if you built a forecast in Fathom, you can add the forecasted data in for the rest of the year, so that your management pack is not only saying almost where you've been, but it's a report that says this is where we've been, but also this is where we're going for the rest of the year. Or, you know, you could add in a P&L for the next financial year, or even the third financial year after that if you really want to. Just that your report is real sort of forward looking, as well as just projecting the results that you've already got. Have you got anything you want to add to sort of the tables and financials, Hannah?
Let's see, I'd probably only just highlight the fact that if you were to do a P&L, for instance, broken down per company, there is the option to almost anonymize the numbers. So if you were putting together a report, I think, Ciaren, if you were to go into the tables and financials for me, and then we can have a quick whiz through.
Yeah, financial by company.
Yes, please, yeah. So if we were to take any of those, if we were to then go into the edit pencil, and then if we were to go to the companies themselves, if we were to remove, say, a couple of those, if we remove both of the curbside ones. So what we've got here is we are able to almost anonymize the numbers. So although we've still got a total for the group, if you just wanted to hide, say, for instance, those 2 entities that you just removed, Ciaren, you are then able to obviously just concentrate on the curbside coffee house. So for whatever reason, this report could be purely focusing on that, and you wanted to hide the numbers from the other entities, you do have the option to do that in here. So it's just worth noting that, really.
Yeah, of course. That's a good point as well, actually, because what that reminds me is that obviously for a lot of people, though, they may have like a holding company that perhaps doesn't have that much go through, or even perhaps like a couple of entities that don't have a lot of transactions go through, but they do have to reflect it in their consolidated accounts. So those sort of things are the good sort of thing. If you do just want to have those in another column, it's a good way of doing that. Cool. Obviously, as well as the tables and financials, you can add lots of different charts into Fathom as well. I'm just going to add the P&L back in just as something there. Make another section called KPI analysis. Why not? And from here, you can add different charts in as well, just to make the reports really engaging. You can have this further up if you want to. Obviously, this is completely up to you how you want to build this, but you can add the charts in just to make the report really engaging for anyone that isn't necessarily financially inclined as well. So whoever's looking at this report, I think Hannah sort of touched on it earlier, you can build in different graphics that make it engaging for everyone, and not just the people that want to look at the numbers. So, you know, revenue is always a good place to start. So you could add in revenue for like this financial year, for example. You can see my revenue obviously took a nosedive in December, which isn't great, but it's completely hypothetical, I promise. But you could then duplicate that and then make this one, say, add or remove series. I use operating profit quite a lot as an example. But you could add operating profit in there, and then you can get rid of the revenue for that one. And then you can have different charts that are highlighting different things as you move through. And the other thing that you can do with those charts actually is bring in, let's make a forecasted section. So if I make a forecasted section, and then bring in some charts, the forecasted data. So if I go to forecasting, I can bring in like my cash on hand chart that's showing where my cash is, but also where my cash is going for the rest of the financial year. And again, you can adjust the date range there to be whatever you want it to be. So I could make it like the next 6 months, for example, or whatever you want to look at there, you can add that in. And then I'm not sure I haven't got scenarios in this forecast, unfortunately. If you had multiple scenarios in your forecast, you could almost branch those off as different lines over here as well. So you have multiple lines spreading out to say that, you know, this is the best case scenario, and this is what the cash position looks like in a best case scenario. But equally then, you know, if the best doesn't happen, this is what it's going to look like, and so on. Have you got anything you want to add to that, Hannah?
I would only add that when you're creating these charts, you are able to change it. It's like a line graph or a bar graph or area graph. You can change the colors. So if you've got branding colors that you want to stick to, making those reports really uniform, you can do that as well. And then also off the back of that, so if you're bringing in, say, KPIs, you can add the targets for those. You could have one line showing the actuals, one line showing the targets, and the same for your financial data. So if it's a financial metric that you've added to the charts, you can also bring in budget data as well. So it'd be nice to see, obviously, you've got your actuals, you've got your budget, and then you can see where you are in comparison to those.
Cool. Yeah, no worries. Cool. The final thing that I wanted to touch on with reports was the ability to schedule the reports. So what this does is once you've built your template out, or if you're using a predefined template, that's fine. What you can do is schedule the report to produce itself every month. So it removes another step from the process, because all you have to do is create the schedule. You can put it into the draft of the published library, it's up to you. But then once you've created your template, if I just find that management report template that I've just created, go next, and you can say however many days after the end of the month you want that to produce. I would recommend giving your accountant a little bit of time to run the numbers before producing the report, but it's entirely up to you. But you can also just be notified by email once that's ready as well. And then that report is going to produce itself, and it's just literally ready for you to go in and view. So that consolidation process becomes a lot more seamless than, having to do all the manual stuff behind the scenes. You literally just have to build a template once and it's ready to go for, well, in theory, forever. So yeah, unless Hannah's got anything to add, that kind of wraps it up. And we'll just jump to Q&A if there's any questions.
Yep, no, I'm pretty good with that. I think, Ciaren, you covered off a lot of the key features that people do ask us for. It's also worth noting as well that you can have as many users to your Fathom account. So if it is a case of inviting multiple users within the business itself, or whoever may be viewing the reports, they can view them online. And again, as Ciaren mentioned, they get emails to let them know when the reports are ready to view.
Cool. So without further ado, let's see if there are any questions. We have no questions at the moment. So I'll give people a minute to sort of jump in with any questions they might have. But if not, we will wrap up there. Obviously, feel free to reach out to Hannah or I with any questions you might have that you don't want to share sort of in the webinar now. We haven't actually got our email addresses on there, but if you do want to reach out to us, our email addresses are, so for me, it's ciaren.holden@theaccessgroup.com. And for Hannah is hannah.ray@theaccessgroup.com. So wherever you want to reach us, feel free. I'll just check there's no more questions coming in. Yeah, no questions at the moment. So yeah, I will wrap up there.
Okay, well, thanks again, Matt. It was really lovely to speak to you. I think he's gone off camera. Oh, there he is, he's back. So yeah, just to say again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It's appreciated. And for those people that obviously joined to watch today's webinar, we will be reaching out to people in the next couple of days just to see if you've got any questions. So if you don't feel like reaching out to us, we will definitely be in contact. And then also do make use, if you're thinking about Fathom but you want to give it a go first before obviously committing, we do offer a 14-day free trial which is available on our website, so fathomhq.com. Go onto there, take out a 14-day free trial, and you will have access to all of the features that we obviously covered today, as well as the analysis tool, forecasting, and we do also offer benchmarking as well. But yeah, absolutely brilliant to speak to everybody, and that's me. I'm going quiet now. Anything else?
Cool. Yeah, I can't really add to that, to be honest. Hannah summed it up quite well. So thank you all for attending. Yeah, hopefully hear from some of you soon. And thanks again, Matt, for your input.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
All right. Thanks all. Bye-bye.